What does Taliban leadership in Afghanistan mean for the global community and from the perspective of those who served? To answer that, we're joined by Tom Porter, representing the group Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, and Darrell Blocker, ABC News contributor and former deputy director of the Counterterrorism Center at the CIA. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. And Tom, let me begin with you. You're also a captain in the U.S. Navy Reserve. You served in Afghanistan. We've heard everybody all the way up to the Secretary of Defense talk about what this feels like to watch this unfold after having served in that theater. Can you speak to what veterans and their families are experiencing watching the scenes in Kabul unfold, knowing that on September 11th anniversary, the Taliban are going to be in control there?
Thank you for having me. Good to be here with you today. First, I want to mention that I'm here just for Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, and in no way speaking for DOD on this. This issue hits really close to home for me. Watching these scenes unfold, I lived on that base for over a year, so all of those scenes are very, very familiar. And then seeing the service members that we have out there providing security and securing people as they come into the airfield. They're just doing a brilliant job. And I just want Americans to know that the United States military service members are doing just amazing work, and they're brave, and they're doing dangerous things on our behalf. And so please just remember that whenever you meet them next. Bottom line is we've got an enormous amount of American citizens and Afghan allies that have stood side by side with us for 20 years, risking their lives, their families' lives, so that we can accomplish our mission. So we need to do all it takes, whatever it takes, to get everybody out and to safety.
Absolutely. That is what the Pentagon is saying. Darrell, President Biden says the Taliban's going through what he calls a, quote, existential crisis, promising moderation. We're already seeing violent response to some protests of the new government around the country. So what are you expecting? Is this Taliban 2.0, do you think?
Well, what I'm expecting is that the Taliban will look at the 70 nations within the UN that already institute and incorporate Sharia law into their systems. That's 1/3 of the UN member states. So they can go back to the draconian 1.0 version of 1994 through 2001, or they can adjust to the world and recognize that it doesn't have to be the way it was in the past. So that's on the Taliban regime to make a decision about whether they want to live in the past or when they want to adjust to the future.
I just want to draw on your experience as an intelligence officer. A lot of finger pointing right now. Early days, there will be after-action reviews, congressional hearings, all of it. Is this an intelligence failure, Darrell?
I think the word intelligence failure is just okay, policy fails, and intelligence has a role in that. I don't see this as an intelligence failure, but I'm from the inside, so I'm a little biased. At the end of the day, this was predicted, whether it was 3, 6, 9 months. No one would have accepted somebody coming in and briefing them that the Taliban government would take over in 10 days, 2 weeks. It would just not have been, it just wouldn't have been accepted. No one would believe it, and now we're witnessing it.
Mm. And Tom, clearly the evacuation of our Afghan allies, that's personal, as you pointed out, for those who served alongside them, for journalists who worked with colleagues in Afghanistan. But you say the failure in planning for this dates all the way back to 2008 and the Special Immigration Visa Program's inception. That's the visa program for people who helped us in Afghanistan and Iraq. So how do you think this was missed back then? And do you blame the State Department for some of what's happening today?
Well, blame can be equally assigned to multiple administrations. So this goes way back. Oftentimes we had called on the State Department to be able to step up their processing of these special immigrant visas. Again, these are for assisting those interpreters, mainly analysts, intelligence analysts, fixers that stood by our side and were in combat a lot of the times with our forces and with NATO forces during our conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so a lot of times there wasn't enough funding. A lot of times there wasn't enough personnel at the State Department to process them in time. But the result has been that there's been a large backlog of thousands of these visa applications. And here we are today. And if we had not had such a huge backlog, then a lot of this problem, it wouldn't exist. You're still, when you're evacuating from a country like this, you're still going to have problems no matter how well you plan for it. But if we hadn't had that large backlog in the special immigrant visas programs, we wouldn't be exactly where we are today. We'd be in a much better place.
A long history there. And Daryl, UN officials now warning that there could be dire food shortages in Afghanistan, noting that the Taliban's unlikely to receive the generous international aid that propped up the previous government. How do you think the global community should approach dealing with the Taliban?
I think both the Taliban and the global community are obligated to continue to administer well-established mechanisms for the 34 provinces of Afghanistan. There are more than just the Pashtuns, the Tajiks, the Hazaras, and the other Turkmen, Baluch, and tribes that are not the 40% of the makeup of the Taliban. So they are going to need to decide whether they're going to represent all of Afghans and partner with the United Nations to get food, to get water, to get assistance to those in need.
We'll see how that goes. That's the next problem, I guess. Daryl Blocker, Tom Porter, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.